The CEO's patience had finally run out. Every Friday, without fail, the janitor left an hour before his shift ended. No excuses, no explanations. He simply vanished. From her pristine glass office on the top floor, she watched him again through the surveillance feed. A man in a worn uniform, pushing his cart quietly down the hallway, head bowed, shoes leaving faint marks on the polished floor. He was polite, quiet, invisible. But to her, he was a symbol of inefficiency, something she could no longer tolerate. The company was under pressure. Investors were circling. The board demanded layoffs, and she refused to let something as small as a careless employee slip through her control. That Friday, she made a decision. She would follow him herself. When the clock struck 4, she saw him clock out once more, without a word. Her assistant tried to stop her, but she grabbed her coat and left. In the parking lot, she spotted him walking quickly, not toward a car, but toward the bus stop. In his hand, he carried a small brown lunch bag, holding it tightly as if it contained something precious. From her sleek black sedan, she followed the city bus he boarded, her mind already building a case against him. Was he going to a bar? Wasting company time and her money? But the bus didn't head toward the city center. It stopped instead near an old community hospital on the outskirts of town. He got off and disappeared inside through the sliding glass doors. Curiosity tugged at her. She parked, followed him in. The air inside smelled of antiseptic and quiet heartbreak. Nurses moved softly. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Down a narrow hallway, she saw him stop outside a small rehabilitation room. Through the glass window, she finally saw her answer. A little girl, maybe 8 or 9, sat in a wheelchair. Her legs were thin, her face pale, but her eyes were alive with light. The janitor knelt beside her, unwrapped the brown lunch bag, and took out 2 small sandwiches. He smiled, brushed her hair from her face. The CEO froze. He began helping the girl stretch her hands, counting softly, cheering her on as she tried to move her left leg. Each tiny motion brought tears to his eyes, tears he quickly wiped away. When a nurse came over, he stepped aside, listening carefully to every instruction. "You're doing great with her exercises," the nurse said. "The doctor says she's improving faster than anyone expected." He nodded. "We've been practicing at home," he replied quietly. "Fridays are her extra session days. I just can't afford to miss them." The CEO's throat tightened. He wasn't leaving early for himself. He was leaving early for her. Then he reached into his pocket and unfolded a small drawing, 2 stick figures holding hands beneath a yellow sun. Scrawled in a child's uneven handwriting were the words, "My hero, Dad," he smiled softly, taped it to the wall, and whispered something to his daughter that made her giggle. That's when he caught a reflection in the glass, hers. The CEO stood behind him. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. He looked startled, guilty. "Ma'am, She raised a hand gently, stopping him. The hospital lights flickered, filling the silence between them. A CEO who measured life in hours and results, and a father who measured it in moments and miracles. Her eyes softened, but she said nothing, not yet. He turned back to his daughter, brushing her hair again, pretending not to notice the powerful woman watching from behind the glass. And for the first time in years, the CEO realized she was witnessing something her spreadsheets could never measure. Dedication that couldn't be clocked. Loyalty that couldn't be bought. The world outside kept moving. But inside that quiet room, something inside her began to shift. She stood there for a long moment, her heart heavy, with something she hadn't felt in years. Humility. This man wasn't just an employee. He was a father fighting battles no one else could see, carrying love stronger than exhaustion, duty, or fear. That night, the CEO couldn't sleep. The image of that little girl's smile replayed in her mind, fragile but determined, like she'd inherited her father's quiet courage. She remembered the brown lunch bag, the drawing, the way he'd looked at her when he realized he'd been caught. No defense, just honesty and love. The next morning, when the janitor came into work, he found an envelope on his cart. Inside was a handwritten note from the CEO herself. "Your dedication reminded me what real strength looks like. From today, you'll no longer need to leave early, because I'm giving you Fridays off, fully paid. And one more thing. I'd like to fund your daughter's full treatment. Consider it a thank you not for the work you do here, but for reminding me what purpose really means." He stood frozen, the letter trembling in his hands. Co-workers gathered around, whispering as he read the words again and again, hardly believing them. Tears filled his eyes. For months he had worked double shifts, skipped meals, and sold what little he had, just to keep up with the hospital bills. He had prayed for a miracle, never realizing it was watching him all along, from a corner office above. Later that day, the CEO visited the hospital again. She found the same little girl sitting by the window, holding a new drawing, 2 stick figures, and now a third. "Daddy said you're the nice lady who helped us," the child said shyly, handing her the paper. "Thank you for making my daddy smile again." The CEO knelt down, her eyes stinging. "No, sweetheart," she whispered. "He's the one who helped me." Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds, spilling into the room like a quiet blessing. The CEO had always believed success came from power, control, and precision. But that day she learned it could also come from compassion, from choosing to see people not as employees or numbers, but as stories, and somewhere between board meetings and hospital corridors, she discovered a truth that changed everything. Kindness doesn't cost a business. It builds one. From that day forward, the company's culture began to shift. Employees noticed the CEO smiled more, listened more, and stayed late, not to watch numbers, but to hear the people behind them. And every Friday, a father went home early, not in fear of being caught, but in the peace of being understood.